Hi everyone, Dr. Carrillo here. Welcome to what I consider informally the last week of Unit 1. You don't see anything like Unit 1, Unit 2, or Unit 3 anywhere in the course documents or the Blackboard, but in my mind there are units. And so while we still have two more lessons on arguments to work through this week, I would like to note that our focus during Unit 1 has been on properly orienting to the course operations, getting a general introduction to the philosophical branch of ethics via the Chapter 1 ebook reading assignment, and learning about character traits that will help you do well in completing a philosophical course in ethics and completing an online course in ethics with me to be specific. Um, at the same time, or as we also during Unit 1, we have been working to create a solid foundation of how um, logicians use the term argument, how they define it, what it means to construct an argument, what is an argument construction in philosophy, and then what does it mean to analyze arguments like a philosopher. You will see in your readings, you're going to start doing some ebook readings and learning more about theories about right and wrong. You're going to see a lot of arguments are presented about right and wrong. Some will be in paragraph form, what we now know as an ordinary argument. Others will be formatted in a way that looks very similar to what we call a fully clarified argument. So you'll see in the reading that sometimes the author presents arguments, like I said, in a paragraph form or within a paragraph where he's discussing an argument, so he presents it. But he sometimes will reformat it in a way that is similar to us. He doesn't necessarily do the formatting 100% like we do, but he does list out the statements sometimes, and he'll let you know, like, hey, this is the conclusion in the list of statements with respect to an argument I'm presenting. Because we have spent a good amount of time learning about the philosopher's approach to argument, you will understand what you come across in your ebook and any lectures that I do that much better. You'll also be better prepared and better able to make sense of arguments you come across in everyday life beyond this class. And just to iterate, you will be using what you have learned about intellectual virtue and argument together to make sense of your own arguments for a grade, which you do during week 7. You'll make sense of one of your own arguments for a grade, applying all that you have learned, and to make sense of peer arguments for a grade. So you won't clarify your peer arguments, but you do need to be able to, in the future, for two future grades, in addition to 3 other grades, be able to compare and contrast an argument that you made with an argument that your peer made. And so you have to be able to look at their response and say, okay, this is their conclusion, this is a premise, blah, blah, blah. Now, this week, we do get our final lessons on argument, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video. The first lesson will focus on moral arguments. We have to take time out to learn about moral statements, non-moral statements, moral statement indicators, and the like. And then we're going to learn about something that I mentioned during a previous bundle, probably the week 2 bundle, and that has to do with the concept of what I'm calling a complex argument. We begin with mostly video-based lessons on moral statements and arguments. Of course, this is an ethics class, so we definitely need to be concerned with arguments that focus on matters of moral concern, the killing of George Floyd and the aftermath being our main concern for this particular ethics class, this particular semester. This will be followed with video-based instruction on something I briefly introduced during week 2, like I said, simple and complex arguments. Next week, as I mentioned, next week, going back to something I said earlier, we will begin to learn about various ethical theories philosophers have come up with. It is also the week that we will start to apply all that we have learned about arguments while manifesting intellectual virtue. With that said, I release you now to get started on your last set of argument lessons for the semester.